All right, we are back just after lunch on a Friday, crossover day. David, can you join us? I asked David to, I provided some language that we had talked about with David on those amendments to H276. And so let's review those when we can. Ooh, new font.
So this says draft 6. David Hall Legislative Council H276. This says draft 6.1 at the top. It's actually 7.1. You'll see in the bottom right corner, it's V7 of this document.
You just sent this to Ron, right? So Ron will post it when it comes in.
Right. I'm actually sharing the screen from the Word attachment that I emailed to him because it takes a long time for it to go through. I don't know.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. I can walk up here faster than I can email it. That's got to be a step backward, right?
Technology.
Safety reasons.
Something for Kevin to look into.
So if we just want to look at changes, or do you want to go through?
Yes, I want to look, I'll just look at the changes that we talked about. So,
Okay.
why is this 11?
Why is this?
The
.1.
rental registry.
Okay. That's fine. I'm sorry, I thought we were on those amendments. I said you changes for the DR draft.
Oh yeah, that's to come.
Okay.
Did you want this?
Yeah, no, let's start with 276. That's fine. Sorry,
All right. Well, so there's just the one change here in the fund section. Remember, we talked about changing the language to specify that the fund dollars would be used to design and implement the registry and administer and enforce the requirements of this.
Yeah.
So that's that.
So it's on line 6 there should, just from a typo perspective, so line 6 should read the department shall be used, the proceeds of which shall be used. Oh, no, okay.
Which the department shall use.
Okay, got it. Never mind. Thank you. That is correct.
That's all the same. So crisis standards of housing, homelessness response, analysis. So the new language, I take it you already looked at 5 and 6. Is that correct?
Yep.
So the new language is highlighted.
Yep.
Everybody had a chance to read that change in 5, second 5. I just let you see the highlights in 6 here.
So the idea in B1, David, I was trying to, and if I wasn't clear, I don't know if this handles it, but the Representative Chestnut Tangeman had remarked or just asked that based on some of the testimony we received this morning, that January 15th is a tight timeline for a final report on something like this, and that perhaps a preliminary report first, and then the final group is doing it with the honor before March 1. Take that into account. They can provide a report if they want, or do we need to be specific about that?
So I would like to see, originally it was January 15th, which is probably a timeline for the final report. But if there are legislative recommendations, it's certainly like to see them in January rather than in March. So I would like to see a interim report or recommendations on the January
It would be an
interim report.
Do we need to specify legislative recommendations?
Is this the interim report piece you're looking for?
Yes, that's it.
Yes, Representative Burns.
I also was wondering if we could add to disparities, concurrences
Where is that?
up there, up. Right there, an A. I don't know what the legal term is.
What, I'm sorry, what line?
A, big A,
13.
line 13.
Okay, yeah.
What do you want to add? I'm sorry.
Concurring, circumstances, I guess. I don't know what the legal term would be, but for somebody who was aging and homeless and, or aging and, disabled and homeless, so have two additional subcategories within, what do you call that? Or, so in other words, double disparities within the category. Am I not saying this right?
I'm not hearing it right. You may be saying it just fine. I'm just curious. So step back and say, what is it?
So,
How do we want to realign the words among people among people experiencing homelessness?
right, address racial and other disparities and or concurrent, circumstance, I mean, I can't think of another word besides circumstance because I'm just not thinking of it, not because I don't know it, but,
Sort of multiple contributing factors.
Yeah.
That's sort of.
and I do think that I do think that's where it belongs. I don't think there's another place where it belongs.
So switch out disparities with,
Nope, I think racial and other disparities remains. And then just add an and or.
what was the phrase we just heard?
Risk factors or
Contributing factors, I think I said, multiple contributing factors. I don't know if that's.
can't think of the term.
But you're, if I'm understanding your intent, it's don't just make it single issue identifiers, look at it.
Yes, and there,
Multiple identifiers.
and for some people, they are factors that contribute to homelessness. And for some people, they are factors that have come from homelessness. And so, just making sure that that gets looked at. So, I mean, it's a study, it's not.
Could it be address racial and other disparities among people experiencing homelessness, comma, including how these disparities interact? By getting closer?
Well, I'm not sure that it's necessarily a disparity is the thing. I mean, some of those factors can be a disparity and some might not be. I think I feel like we rely on the word disparity an awful lot and it's not exactly.
So is it address contributing factors among people experiencing homelessness, common including race, age, mental health, and other disparities?
Genders, sexual orientation.
Right, I mean, do we need to, again, this is the same question we asked this morning. At the risk of excluding someone by omitting someone by not, by omission. If we start listing words off, do we risk forgetting?
What about just saying racial and other disparities, comma, or as Robin said, and or combinations of
Risk factors?
risk factors.
David, does and or play in?
No,
How about,
You don't say and or, but you can just say and. I mean, you want them to do both, so just say and.
and how various risk factors interact?
I just don't know what the action item is here. I'm not trying to be unhelpful. They're supposed to be proposing strategies to, what's the verb? To what? Strategies to
Address.
address, okay. And then,
Mitigate, correct?
Address, justify, and eliminate. It's
Including strategies for those with multiple risk factors? Just keep trying.
this isn't my bill. I don't have a lot of schema here to offer a lot of help. I didn't write this. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on in this section. Honestly, it sounds like a study to address homelessness. And so,
this is to establish a working group, but I see your point. Can we scroll past that? Is this the end of it?
I mean, other than the effective dates and the interim
So I'm sorry,
language.
yeah, just this interim report, so committee, this is new language that I had asked David to work up on these amendments. And then the effective dates, are saying that those last two sections will take effect on passage. And then we go back to the rental housing registry language, which had pushed out the wait a minute. Can you go in effective dates, David? That's line 16.
Mm-hmm.
It says the ADS report shall take effect on July 1st, 2024. That should be 23.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The other two are right.
So the language that Representative Burrows addressing that was taken directly from the federal language here. Six sections and I mean that's the origin of that phrase, strategies to address racial and other disparities among people experiencing homelessness.
Right, I recognize that, and as I said earlier, I was surprised that even in that, where they have a very thorough examination of things, even including the post office or postal service, that even there, they did not address the concurrence of factors that and we know from places like in healthcare, a concurrence of more than one disparity is a multiplier. It creates not just twofold, but 3 or 4-fold disparity. So
can we put in comorbidities?
well, it's not morbidity, but that is what Mara was calling the Vermontification or Vermontifying the thing. I'm sorry to make us stumped. And if I'm not explaining myself very well, I apologize.
I think you are. I mean, you're talking about how having multiple risk factors
Is a multiplier.
is a multiplier. So that's why I was trying to go with address. We're going to address these disparities among people experiencing homelessness, and how these risk factors or including strategies for those with multiple risk factors.
Are you on
To
six?
me, that seems to be getting at what you're saying, but it might not be.
Can I ask a bigger picture question? Does this, when it says what it says, does it mean including strategies, that are tailored to or responsive to the fact of racial disparities of concurrent factors? Do you know what I mean? Is the intent that these strategies are supposed to take into account and then be responsive to the fact that there are disparities among the homeless population? Is that right? They're not literally strategies to address
Yes, if we address it.
disparities. I don't even know what that means. That literally means, make homelessness different for a person based on race. That doesn't make any sense. So I think it means the former, which makes your point clearer to me. The strategies should be designed, or they should be tailored, they should be responsive to, they should be appropriate when considering the fact of disparities among different cohorts of the homeless population. Is that more?
Yes.
I don't want to deviate from standard federal language, but I think it's.
Again, we're Vermontifying it, so does that sound